So I have to do the obligatory who is DataRobot slide, or else my marketing team is going to get very upset with me. So who is DataRobot? We are the category creators of automated machine learning and the category creators of ML Ops. We are a full end-to-end AI management lifecycle platform. So we'll do everything from building models, testing and training against hundreds of different models, putting those models into production, and then managing them and maintaining them once they are actually there. Okay, enough about that. Let's get on some stories here. So how many people have gambled since they've been here in Las Vegas? Show of hands. Fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about my first experience gambling in Las Vegas. We can't be in Las Vegas and not talk about gambling. So I had all of these images of how fabulous gambling is going to be. And when I came and I started gambling for my very first time in Las Vegas, had my $20, walked up to a slot machine, put it in. Within seconds, my $20 was gone. I'm like, I don't know if I like gambling. Everyone's like, no, Lisa, you're playing the wrong game. You actually need to go play the table games. Fine, no problem. Go play some table games. Go for roulette. It's what you see on TV. Everyone plays roulette. Definitely going to win some money here. Put my money on the table. Maybe lasts a little bit longer. A minute later, money is completely gone. People are telling me, no, Lisa, you're still playing the wrong games. You got to play the card games. Sure, I'll play the card games. That's where people actually make money. You see people who actually compete and do this, and they make a living off of playing poker. My game, I'm going to put my $20 down. I'm going to double my investment, no problem whatsoever. Now, mind you, the only card games I actually know how to play are speed. So poker is not necessarily up my alley. Put my money down. What happens? Maybe play for about an hour, limp through it, once again, lose all of my money. Now, why am I bringing up this experience? This is exactly what's happening with AI. Our previous speaker just talked about this. Executives think that they're going to give you lots and lots of money, and you're going to make something magical happen for them with AI. And when the reality of it is we're heading into the trough of disillusionment in terms of AI adoption. They think that they're going to give you money, and you're going to get magical beans, a green stock is going to grow up, and you're going to get a goose who lays golden eggs for you. And what's tricky about this situation right now is we're heading into an economic recession. So you have to take a defensive approach on your AI planning, what you're putting into production, and how you're working with your executives to ensure that you're maintaining the budget and the investments of your team. And the reality of it is, no one is going to be out from underneath the microscope. Executives that I'm talking to day in and day out, they're looking at optimizing every single part of their organization. And this includes data science teams. I think many of you, or some of you, have seen on LinkedIn, entire data teams have been taken out already. And we're not even in the middle of a recession yet. So what can you do to ensure that you're preserving your AI investment, that the business executives understand that you're committed to helping them optimize and drive efficiency at their top line and their bottom line? And so for us at DataRobot, one of the things that I get to see is we work with thousands of different customers all over the world, from the most regulated, biggest banks in the world, all the way to innovative groups like Kroger and CVS and their data science teams. And we've seen all of the gaps that you can hit in terms of your AI maturity and what you're trying to do from your investment. And there are a couple of key trends that come up. So taking a defensive strategy on your AI investment is actually going to depend on where you are in your AI maturity. You just heard a little bit about the AI maturity. So let's break through the stages here. And what I want to be clear about is your organization may actually be completely AI mature. But the one thing to keep in mind is some of the business departments that you work with may actually be in the level 1 and level 2. So you want to understand exactly where you are organizationally and as where stage each of the departments that you're working on is from a maturity perspective. Okay, so if we're going to focus on the first half of this, levels 1 through 3 on maturity, what are some of the defensive approaches that you can take to ensure you're maintaining that budget and that investment in AI and machine learning, and that it is driving true value to your organization? The biggest gap that we see time and time again with organizations trying to adopt AI is translation. And what do I mean by translation? This is not a technology problem. You have super smart data scientists in your organization. It's about pointing those sharp knives in the right direction. And what happens is executives want something, data scientists know how to build algorithms, but no one's in the middle translating it. So you have to have a repeatable process in terms of being able to actually guide your business executives to understand how to break down their problems into data science language. And so here are some key 7 steps. Most of these are pretty basic, but one of the ones that I want to really pause on is in terms of use case identification. Don't go after one use case. Here's a problem. We just heard this. Every single model you put into production, maybe it didn't drive value, maybe it did. Maybe it was the right problem to solve, maybe it wasn't. Did you have a path to productionalization? Maybe you don't. You want to hedge against that. Take a defensive approach, get several use cases, work with your business executives, line them up, and understand the feasibility of it. Now, the next thing is the technical qualification. A lot of data science teams look at the data readiness. That's their basis for deciding if they're actually going to go after a certain AI and machine learning model. Here at this conference, I've heard nothing but ML ops. It's like this new concept that everyone's like, we've got to get models in production. And here's the biggest thing that I see. It's not that you've built a model and that you can't get it in production. It's at the beginning of the conversation that you had with your business executive, you didn't even plan out what the path to production should look like. Were there going to be blockers? Did you know that you could actually get it done there? Do you have the right resources in place today before you even start on that machine learning project that's going to be able to get those models into production? And then do your business executives actually want to take action on the insights that you've given them? And that's the translation gap that we see a lot of times from taking that defensive strategy. The next thing is building, we all know that. Productionalizing it, great. But then there's this continuous AI. We just heard about this as well. Once those models are in production, you have to keep and maintain the trust that you have with your business executives. If they see a model fail in production, guess what's going to happen? They're not going to trust it anymore. There is a true bias of algorithm aversion. I just want to see quick hands here. How many of you follow Waze 100% of the time, all the time it gives you directions? That's right. Our guts know way better than the algorithms. And this is what happens in organizations all of the time. If you are not maintaining that trust in those AI models that you put in production, you are going to lose faith. So you have to take a strong defensive strategy. So you should have a use case tracker. You should have ROI attached to every single use case. And you should have timelines committed and updates. But how do you translate it? We all know this. So the best way to do it is you have to create very simple templates. This is not about talking about data science. This is about talking business objectives. If you can get the translation right with your business leaders, what you'll end up with is a matrix that looks very much like this. And if you can do it really well, you can end up with a matrix that looks like this with a dollar amount associated with every single use case. Now you're taking a defensive strategy on your AI budget. You are truly aligning to what is the business objectives that an organization wants to hit. Okay, how do you get here, though? How do you do the translation? This is something that DataRobot does all the time. We understand it's not about data science, it's not about algorithms, it's actually about translating. So we have these great templates that we work with. Super simple. Do you see anything about data science in here? That's right. This is your translation guide. Sit down with your business executives at a table with your data science leaders, literally walk through the problems that are biggest to them. You understand the data, you understand the infrastructure, you don't need to explain that to them. What you do need to explain to them is how feasible it is. This is all they care about. And then you want to work with them on the value calculation. What is this going to do to improve our organization? How is it going to hit our top line and our bottom line? Then you have an estimated potential. If you do this right, you'll have 25 of these cards, and you'll have the matrix that I just showed you. You've got commitment from your business executives, plus you've already identified the path to production, and because you have the business sponsorship, being able to resource getting that path to production unlocked is already there. The other thing that I see a lot of times with organizations is they do a lot of ad hoc modeling. So what do I mean by ad hoc modeling? I'm going to do some marketing optimization, maybe I'm going to do some supply chain over here. What we're missing out is this concept of additive modeling. So you want to aggregate all of the projects that you have, and you want to continuously deliver ROI, but you want to compound that. So you want to start actually nesting some of the use cases that you've mapped out already and building upon them. So what does that actually look like in practice? This is Nestle Mexico. We worked with them. Just like I said, every single organization is different in terms of their maturity. Nestle Mexico, because it's a sub-branch within actual Nestle, was much more AI immature. They were just getting started. So they were trying to move from level 1 to level 3 within 1 year. So how did they break down that problem? It's a little bit of an eye chart, but let me explain this. So everything below that timeline is DataRobot coaching. Everything above that timeline is what Nestle, the actual data and analytics team, was doing with the DataRobot platform. And here's what you can see is 2 weeks spent doing nothing but working with the business executives, the business leaders, and the data team, with us driving some of the coaching and being able to translate and have a Rolodex of use cases. Now, the next thing you'll notice is, if you can see, it's a very small team of data scientists. It's 4 people. So how do you deliver so many projects within 4 weeks? Again, it's that aggregated modeling that you have to do and break down those problems. So what we did was we split the team in 2. One team is working on project number 1. Second team, while project number 1 is getting off and cooking, is working on project number 2, going to get the data assets they need to actually build it. But guess what? Project number 2, which is market share, actually needs some demand forecasting insights as part of it. You're aggregating, that compounding the impact. And then you start waterfalling through. So project number 2 gets kicked off. Project number 3 is now getting sourced for the data by the 2 data scientists and then building it out. And then you're getting down to project number 4. Each one of these is compounding and building across each other. That's how you take a defensive strategy against your AI machine learning project and ensuring you're delivering value. At every key milestone and point, you're having a business executive review on exactly what the status is. Now, the other way to break down this problem is, this is the same project timeline. Project 1 feeds all the way into pricing optimization. So what a lot of data science teams do is they start all the way here on the right end. Pricing optimization, great. How much time is it going to take you to actually do that? 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, value gone, trust eroded. Where's your budget? Do you really need that many people? I haven't seen anything in the return that I've given you. It's like gambling. I put my money down, is it gone? So the other way to look at this is, how do you break down these problems? So if we take a look at something like demand forecasting with Nestle, what we guided them to do was focus on the products in your portfolio that actually are driving the biggest margin improvements to your business. Don't forecast across the hundreds of thousands of different SKUs. Why? It's going to take you several months to do it. You haven't done it before, but what's most meaningful for the business? In Nestle Mexico's case, it was water and coffee, highest margins. Great, let's get those really optimized. Then start building upon that. Put those models into deployment. You're actually impacting the business, and then iterate on them. Take a next step down. Look at the next category of products within the portfolio that drive margins to the organization. Add some pricing information. Add some geographical information. Throw those out into production. Add some third-party data to that. Throw those out into production. And here's what you're doing at those early stages. You are showing the business that you are rapidly innovating and developing for them, as opposed to making them wait 6 to 8 months and think that they're going to get an investment on their return. Okay, so in this next year, what they're now focusing on is actually moving beyond the basics and getting into level 4 of innovation. What they're starting to now do is, because they have this muscle and this competency with their business executives, they're actually now using DataRobot to provide what-if analysis for their Walmart customers, so that the Walmart customers can take a look and see, what is the optimal price that I need to purchase and sell Nestle products at within my local market? And we're offering this as a service. So that's when you're really starting to innovate, but your team already trusts you. Your executives trust you already. So this is how you're taking that defensive strategy against your budget. Okay, so now what if you're on the mature side? What do you do to hedge against and make sure that your budget and your innovation doesn't stop producing the value to your organization? It's a very different conversation here. We've talked a lot about deployment at this conference, but what I don't see is a lot of conversation, and our previous speaker did bring this up, is the continuous AI. If you are doing this well, you're in actually a tension. You're getting pinched on both sides. You're getting a backlog of requests coming in for your business executives, and then you've got a whole slew of models that you've got in production that are eroding quickly. And your data science teams are trying to figure out, where do I balance? And this is a huge scaling issue that we see within organizations. The more models that you have in production, fabulous. You're winning the right to do business with your organization. They trust in you. But then you've got to maintain those models. I was literally on a call with a retailer who the data science team puts a model in production, it erodes after 3 months, and their business team stops using it after 2 weeks. Why? Algorithm aversion is a real thing. But the more you spend focusing on retraining all the models that you have in production, the less time that you actually have to innovate. So again, you have to take a defensive strategy position to hedge against this from your budgeting. And this is the other thing that I see. Organizations and data science teams spend a tremendous amount of time getting that accuracy, 90% accuracy. You put it into production, and it starts to erode so quickly over time. The reality of it is your team could have actually done a 70% accuracy, put it in production, and the average accuracy that you're going to deliver to the business is going to be much better. It was a wasted effort. Your business isn't going to trust you anymore in terms of being able to maintain and sustain the value that you drive. The other issue that we see in terms of ensuring that you're maintaining your budgets and innovation is once you put a model in production, the same algorithms, the same pre-processing steps, they don't apply. Your data has changed, the world has changed, but a lot of data science teams aren't trying new methods. Why? Because it requires a lot of work. They get stuck here. But the reality of it is, to ensure that you're maintaining those models and the quality of them in production, you actually have to try different models. You actually have to try different pre-processing steps. But this is really tricky. How do you do that? How do you balance against it? Especially because most of your organizations, if you're on the AI mature cycle, actually look like this. You probably have a hot mess of AI artifacts all over your organization, different teams using different tools, wanting to code in different languages, wanting to use different platforms. And what I see is a lot of organizations spend a lot of time building a data science center of excellence. That's fabulous. That's the people part. What you need is an actual AI center of excellence for your technology. You need an AI center of excellence for every single AI artifact that you have within your organization. And it doesn't matter if your data science team wants to code in their specific notebook. That's fine. You need to have a 360-degree view of everything that's going on. And this is where DataRobot's MLOps platform is very different. We work with some of the biggest, largest banks who have some of the most stringent MRM requirements, and they're standardizing on the DataRobot platform because we give them the flexibility to allow their data science teams to do exactly what they need to do in code, but we give them that single pane of glass that they are required to have: governance, repeatability, streamlining all of the way that they're building their assets, collaboration. The other thing about this is it does not matter if your model is being built in the DataRobot platform, it's being built outside of it, you should have a 360-degree view. This is building a true technology platform center of excellence. And then you should be able to get it into production in any way, shape, or form. Now, the other thing about this is a lot of organizations, especially if you're on the AI maturity cycle, most organizations think that they can only automate the first part of that. The reality of it is you can actually automate this entire life cycle, but most organizations aren't doing it. You want to continue to deliver the innovation, but you don't want to get bogged down by everything else. So what we're seeing organizations start to do is start to standardize on automation, and not just at the beginning of the process, but doing continuous AI. And this is what makes the DataRobot platform really unique, is the fact that we can do automated retraining based on the new data that is coming in, service up what we call challenger models. Your data science team gets to look at the challenger models that are automatically being produced, to identify if that's the right one, and then hot swap it out into production, all without your data science team having to go back and manually recreate them. And this is how you create defensive strategies. And I'll leave you at this. We are in a changing time. We know this. It's been absolutely incredible from a data science perspective and absolutely horrible. The world that we live in is not the same. And the ability for you to actually quickly adapt and change, there is no more seasonality in anything in any industry that we're seeing anywhere. And as we head into this economic downturn, your ability to help your organization pivot, it's going to help you hedge against the budget cuts and your team cuts. But you have to be in lockstep with your business executives. I hope that was very helpful for you all. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm at lisa.aguilar@datarobot.com. And we're also in room 306 if you ever want to stop by and have a deeper dive conversation. Thank you.